sure it is right.
Absolutely.
And ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by somebody who loves to call themselves an assessment expert in education. She is Miss Gulzeba. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Walaikum assalam. It's really wonderful to hear you live, the way you kind of greet daily. That was something which we used to look at the TV daily. Thank you so much, and thank you for the kind introduction.
It's our pleasure to absolutely have you over here, Ms. Gulzeba. But to begin with, this is on a lighter note. So when you say that you are introducing a software which is digital and is going to fairly check the examination and generate assessments and then check it as well, does that mean for students like me who don't know any answer and at the bottom of the page they write, sorry sir, please give me marks, that's not going to work anymore?
Let me actually give you a background of that
please.
first.
This was on a lighter note.
And so
Let us
that
know about
actually
your
you
company.
and whoever is actually listening can understand the program and the softwares as well. So what we aimed at, and now alhamdulillah we are capable of transforming the current educational system of Pakistan. And when I claim this is a very big claim, and this is something which is, if you read the policy documents of our national education policy, if you read the policy document of our national curriculum policy, that is written there, okay, we have to use technology, we have to use rubrics, we have to, digitize the process. But since decades, we're using the same set of assessments, same set of style of marking, same set of style of, marking and the assessments and the paper setters and the paper generation. So we do not need to mix actually these two. We have at the moment these two different softwares. And why do we need to have these two softwares? I'll tell you that also. As a society, as parents, as schools, as teachers, as boards, we are very much concerned for the results, right? But we are not really concerned for the process or the system by which we are getting these results. Right? So what happens is that, as parents, we are very concerned for the results that my child should get best marks, best grades to get admission into the universities. But what he is actually learning or how he's getting these marks should also be very important for the society and for the parents and the schools and boards also. So what happens is that there are, different verticals of education sector. As it's written in that nation building, education is a very important part of the nation building process, right? And in education, there are different very important parts. That is curriculum development, then it's classroom learning, then it's teachers training, assessments and data analysis. So what we are focused as in government and its private sector, and there is, I believe there is no other startup which is working in the same sector.
And are you collaborating with the government on this?
That's why we are here.
All right, perfect. Makes sense.
Which is good. But the next question, I want you to, hear me out carefully on this as well, because this is something which I believe, which should actually be missed out on while, we were in university and we were studying. I still remember he was one of my best professors, Sir Tariq. He used to teach us marketing. And he used to say that, if I have asked you a question in your exam, even if you do not reproduce the same answer from the book, but if you're able to convince me, I will still give you marks. Now, I'm going to come back to this. Okay, you have to hear me out. Now, with online checking systems or assessment systems, what we are doing is that we are not leaving anybody 10% or 15% of the margin to think out of the box. It is either yes or no, or either whatever the book is saying, so there cannot be one word here or one word there. I don't know how you're actually developing this software that it's going to give us margin. Now, for anybody, any student, when we talk about universities, it's more of applied sciences. Case studies being given to you, and you think however you want to go about it, and there can be multiple options for that as well. Either it cannot be yes or it cannot be no. So do we have that margin within this, software we are talking about right now, that the software is actually going to allow us to be outside the box as well and then be correct at the same time, rather than the computer analyzing, okay, this is what I was fed with, the answer, and this is what the student came up with, and it's a no. So how are we going about it?
Let me first correct you here. Computer is not going to check that descriptive paper, right? So we at RedMarker Systems are providing two solutions at the moment. One is our marker, which is online on-screen marking of descriptive papers. We are not talking about the objective papers where the answer is yes or no. Right? The paper is descriptive paper. In boards, in educational foundations, if we have 10 questions in one paper, these 10 questions are checked by 10 different markers, and then there is one supervisor sitting over there, which is 10, who is randomly checking the papers, right? That if I'll check question number 1, you'll check question number 2 and 3 and so on. And what is that is the same system in our system also, that 10 different questions will be sent to 10 different markers, and then they'll get back and result will be compiled automatically by the software. But these 10 different questions will be sent to 10 different markers.
Okay.
Markers, as in this case, will be teachers, and in case of boards will be public sector teachers.
Okay.
We have started the training, like in KP we have trained about 150 teachers from different boards on the same system. On the other hand, when you are saying, okay, there is no choice for the, there is no margin left for the student or the teacher. If you look at the system, when there is the digital paper available, there is a rubric available with that paper, which will provide you exactly that, okay, how are you going to distribute these marks among that paper or among that question. Supposingly, if we have a creative writing question, as if I am writing an essay, and I being a teacher, I have to assess, okay, out of 10, I'll give it, 5 marks or 8 marks or 7 marks. And you being a teacher will assess it differently, that out of 10, how many marks you are going to give it to that. So we actually distribute that 10 marks into different criteria, that, okay, content, grammar, spelling check, and that is the reason that that student will be getting better marks than the normal manual system.
Got it.
And right? I don't agree to this, because grammar, vocabulary, spellings, all of this, I think human error can always be there, right?
Yes.
If I'm checking an exam, and I might not even be good at grammar as well, so the teacher might make a mistake and just give and be like, okay,
but
whatever marks.
In other cases,
that's not what I wanted to ask.
But in other cases, if I'm the teacher, I might be giving the 2 out of 10 marks, just for the sake of the grammar mistakes.
All right.
But in this case, if rubric is there, then you are only deducting the marks exactly mentioned for the grammar, right?
Yeah. Okay, I truly get that. We will come down to a point whether we agree to this marking system or not. But right now, I'm not going to use the word scrutiny, but I want better understanding for this system to exist as well.
Of course.
So now talking about this, while you were saying that, that the exam is actually going to go to the 10 different markers, and those 10 markers are actually teachers from public institutions. So what's different are we doing?
This is exactly, as you mentioned, the Cambridge system. This is exactly the same system. Cambridge is at the moment in about, if I'm not wrong, 160 countries.
Okay.
And their papers are scanned in different countries, and then they're sent to different markers all over the world.
And they have to check it then.
And they have to check it like that. So in Pakistan, we do not have any such system.
Okay.
There are some private institutions which have the same system, but not in, boards have not actually adopted this system so far. So why do we need to adopt this system? Why? Because in case of, there are 2 types of assessment. One is a formative assessment and one is a summative assessment. Formative assessment is, in simple words, is if I have made the soup, I'll check it myself. And summative is if I have made the soup and the guest will check, right? So if some external body examinations are taken, the students, that actually shapes the way teachers are teaching and students are learning. So in case of boards, when the teachers and students know that, okay, they are checked for rote learning, so teachers are teaching and students are learning in the same way. So we are actually producing very low order learners, and where we are checking only memory, we are not actually producing any high order learners, where we are trying to concept and the higher order learning skills and cognitive skills, where we are not checking that. So we are trying to introduce this system. On one side we are trying to introduce standardization of marking. That is one side. That is, the paper is conducted traditionally in examination halls, and then the same paper is checked by the same teachers, those who are going to sit in the same center, rather sitting in the center and checking the paper with different transparency levels.
Of course.
Introducing technological transparency levels will be easy to, masking and data entry are the 2 main pains of the boards. We have tried to convert these into gains, and that is done by the system automatically.
Right. And speaking of, sorry, Ghazleba, if I'm cutting you, but I have to add over here so you can actually expand on your answer as well. And speaking of this actually, making me think of when I was a student, this gives me satisfaction, because Shahzad, I did federal board, and a lot of my seniors used to tell me, तुम्हें पता है checking कैसे होती है? You know, if a teacher has like 500 papers, they're not actually going to read all of the papers. They'll be like, oh, A, B. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just saying this is what's been told to us. So for a student, I was really paranoid of, oh, what if my, you know, supervisor or the person who's going to check my exams, what if he doesn't like my answers? So this gives me satisfaction that it is going to be transparent and a standard, you know, setup is there for the teacher to check that, okay, if the student understands this, they get mark, sorry. Now, the question is, what about like learning outcomes? We have talked about this before the show, but I really want you to explain it to the audiences as well. When you say the computer is going to generate assessment, again, the teachers are going to make the assessment, right? So isn't it going to be the same? So for example, if we are reading a maths book, studying a maths book, the exercise questions are going to be there, this exact same questions. But if a computer is generating a test, I would expect it to have the questions which will actually make the teachers understand, oh, Shiza got this concept. It's not from the book, she actually understood it. Is it going to be any different?
Okay, very
Can I make it simpler
and
as
a longer
well?
question.
Yeah, I'm going to add
Very
on to it as
valid,
well.
yes.
Because whenever it was my mathematics examination, I would rather, you know, going through the entire process, I would actually remember the answer.
The
Whether
answer.
it was
And it
2850
worked.
or 3450 or whatever it was. And it did really work. So I think it's going to work with the computer as well.
I guess this is the reason I never had interest in maths and Pak studies.
Pakistan studies is different. You know, this cannot be reason of having no interest in Pakistan studies.
No, Pakistan studies. Why? Because
Geography,
you know
probably.
the traditional books we used to had for these subjects were very different from
Map
the
banai
international
Pakistan
level
ka.
of books of geography
Yeah,
and
yeah,
history.
yeah, yeah.
Of course.
True.
So now when I see my kids studying these history and geography, that is very different. So now I'm actually, you know,
good.
I am raising that interest on geography side.
Yeah.
But coming back to your question, see, that is what I told you. As Allama Iqbal said, Tushaba Faridi, Chiragha Faridam. Corona has been very good time. I have been learning Persian these days.
Oh, that's nice.
So it
College to
means
bache
that,
tore.
okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So in that case, you know, assessment ke, for all these big issues of assessments, we have created two types of chirag. Allama Iqbal said that Allah ne raat banai and we made the light.
Okay.
So one of them is RedMarker, which is online on-screen marking of descriptive papers, which is on one side. On one side, we are trying to standardize the marking. On the other side, we are trying to standardize the paper setting process. And how are we going to do that? Yes.
All right.
So if I am the item writer or if I am the paper setter, I am giving an assignment, okay, you have to make this paper from this particular syllabus, for this particular class, for this particular subject, right? And if I am writing the question in the paper, I have no idea that why I am writing that question, what I am trying to assess from that particular student, right? Is it memory only? Is it knowledge? Is it knowledge creation? Is it analysis, competency? Which type of level of, you know, Bloom taxonomy we want to check?
Yeah, yeah.
So in that case, what the system we have made is, whenever you are going to write an item or item, we call it in assessment, a question in the software, you are going to tag all the specifications given in the curriculum policy document.
Okay.
Like which benchmark you're going to check, which strand, which competency level, which SLO you want to check, which difficulty level of this question it would be, how much time would it take to solve, and which paper it will appear, and last time how many times it appeared.
And why is it important for the student to know this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
That's nice.
So when I'm writing the item, I have written, I have actually tagged that item first, and then I've written the item, and with the item I'll write in our system, that is what is happening. With the item I'll write the possible solution.
Okay.
And the rubric, the criteria,
Yes,
right?
got it.
So when I'll generate the paper from the particular software, I'll be getting the paper marking guide and paper summary and item summary, everything along with the paper. So I know exactly why was this item given in the paper, and how have students performed in the system, and how have students performed in the system,
Yes.
and how they, you know, why are we asking that particular question in the paper.
Wonderful.
Okay.
The learning outcomes.
Unless we know that why are we asking that question, we do not actually get any data from our assessments.
Yes.
That is the weakest link in our education system right now. Why? Because that is such a difficult domain to work in. Ask me, I'm working in it since a decade plus. I have been, you know, associated with different education foundations. We have conducted different students tests, about 6 million plus students tests. But
which makes me also ask you, because you've been a part of the system for so long, and now, mashallah, you're also the perfect bridge between the private and the public sector as well. And then I need an honest answer. Do you think your software, or that with the help of the standard